Yo, what's up, everyone? Back for this Monday slate. We have a really solid 10-game slate for today. Hopefully, you guys all had a great weekend. It was a good Sunday. Didn't have time to make a video, but I posted a core on Twitter. So you can follow me on Twitter at the Diaz Process if you want cores and updates throughout the day. We cashed on DraftKings with a 115.15 and FanDuel cashed with a 134.4. So it was a really good weekend. Cashed Sunday, had an incredible day on Friday, and then Saturday didn't cash, but Sunday was good, so looking to keep it rolling today. Let's get right into it. You can drop a like and subscribe before we get started. You can visit the website, dusprocess.net, if you want to join. So at pitcher today, we have a couple of good options at the top. I think my favorite is going to be Lucas Giolito at 11-2. Facing the Royals just seems like a really good bet to have a good game. The Royals aren't a very good offense. They have guys with a little bit of power like Soler. But Giolito had a tremendous game against them already with a 40 spot in KC. And he's been pitching so good this season. He had a couple of huge 40-point games, lots of 30-point games for him recently. Coming off a bad game against the Cubs, I think he's going to bounce back against this Royals team. So at 11-2, especially with Castillo's game being might be a Wrigley win game, I think going down $600, Giolito makes sense. And the second pitcher that I like is going to be Joe Musgrove at 5,800. Just like him a lot, facing a righty-heavy team. He has a ton of success against righties. If you look at the numbers for him, against righties this season, the strikeouts are way up. The slugging is way down. And the Cardinals are a very righty-heavy lineup. Probably 6 or 7 righties in the lineup, with Carpenter and Wong being the lefties and Fowler. So probably 3 lefties, 6 righties. Pretty good ratio for Musgrove. This year he has just a 368 slugging given up to righties and a 211 average. And the strikeouts are also way up. 23.6% K rate to righties and just a 15.6 to lefties. And he's been pitching really solid after he was bad like the first month of the year. A decent game against the Brewers. They also have a ton of lefties, so it kind of makes sense that he didn't have a huge game there. But against some righty-heavy teams, he put up 30.8 against the Padres, 22 against the Astros, 24 against the Braves. I think getting like 20 to 25 is within reason here. So I like him a lot, especially with Coors on the slate and a couple of other offenses that you want to stack. So for offenses today, my interests are with the Dodgers. They're going to be my favorite stack. Dodgers are my favorite stack, and then I'll look at Coors, and then I like maybe a couple like cheap one-offs from the Reds, and like a couple cheap one-offs from the Indians. And yeah, I think that's where I'm at as of now. First guy that I like is going to be Max Muncy here, 4,600. I love the Dodgers stack facing a pitcher in Zach Eflin, who is so bad against left-handed hitters. And Eflin has really hit a wall after he was great for the first 2 months of the season. If you look at the numbers for Eflin, they are going downhill really, really quickly. Against lefties, he's always struggled. This season's no different. A 544 slugging given up to lefties. He has a 5.31 xFIP and given up a ton of power. Ton of fly balls, 43.6% fly ball rate and a 45.6% hard hit rate. And facing all these lefties from the Dodgers, now that Seager's healthy, makes for a really nice stack, all the lefties. And after he started off the season very hot, he had a bad month of June, 4.02 ERA. He gave up 5 bombs. Opponents were hitting 266 off of him. And in his one start in July, he's been really bad too. So I think going with some Dodgers makes for a ton of sense today, given how bad Eflin is. And the Dodgers also get a huge ballpark upgrade. Going from Dodger Stadium to Citizens Bank Park is a really nice ballpark boost. And Muncy, he's already hit a couple of bombs off of Eflin in his career. I think he has 2 bombs and like 5 at-bats. So I think you can take him deep again. Muncy's been so good this season, lefties and righties. He is just a really, really nice find by the Dodgers after he looked like his career was washed a couple seasons ago. This season, Muncy has a higher average against left-handed pitching, but he's still been really powerful against righties. He has a 276 ISO and a 533 slugging percentage. And the advanced numbers are also really good. 38% fly ball rate and a 44.5% hard hit rate. I like Max Muncy a ton. Next up, at third base, I like Nolan Arenado. Definitely going to get some exposure to the Rockies facing Derek Rodriguez. I think one way you can be sneaky is to get a couple from Coors, but not like do a full stack, because that's what a lot of people will do on this slate. I think going with like a full stack of the Dodgers can kind of be contrarian a little bit. But I think the Dodgers are in just as good of a spot as like. I'd rather stack the Dodgers than stack the Giants, but that's just me. 5,200 for Arenado. He's been one of the best, if not the best, third baseman in baseball this season. This year, he has been really good against lefties and righties. His numbers against lefties are a little down, but he's facing a righty here, and he should do some damage. 308 average for him against righties. 13 home runs. In Coors, he's batting .368, and just a lot of power. 228 ISO, 536 slugging percentage, and just a really good spot facing Derek Rodriguez, who doesn't get many strikeouts, and does live and die on contact. So pitching in Coors is not gonna do him any favors. I like Arenado a ton. At shortstop, give me Corey Seager. Seager is very cheap at 4,300, 4,200. I like Seager a lot. Before he got hurt, he was the hottest hitter in baseball before he got hurt, like a month ago. But now that he's healthy, it's been a couple games. He hasn't really done much, but I think this is a really good spot facing Zach Eflin here on the road. He's been much better on the road, 297 average on the road. And against righties, he's been killing it this year, 299 average. 7 of his 8 home runs have come against righties. All the power for him is basically against righties. 248 ISO, 548 slugging percentage, just a 15% K rate, and hits the ball very hard, 42.8% hard hit rate, and a 45% fly ball rate. Playing in Citizen Bank Park, great chance that the fly ball numbers for Muncy and Seager will result in some doubles or maybe a couple bombs by the two. And last but not least, I like a couple Indians. I think Jordan Luplow is nice and cheap at 3,900. Allows you to pay up for some pitchers and allows you to pay up for some bats. Facing lefties, he's been batting cleanup for the Indians, and Norris isn't a great pitcher at all, below average. Luplow is so powerful against lefties, like you wouldn't expect him to be a lefty killer, but he has been, especially for the power this season. This year, he has 8 home runs against lefties in just 81 at-bats and a 309 average. He's been killing it against lefties, which is why he bats cleanup. 383 ISO, 691 slugging percentage, and he just murders the ball against lefties. 42% hard hit rate, 42% fly ball rate, and Daniel Norris does give up some power, and it's supposed to be some nice hitting conditions here in this game. So the Indians also have one of the higher totals on the slate. I think getting a guy like Luplow at only 3,900 with the power that he has against righties makes for a pretty good bet. Norris has given up almost a 300 average to righties, 472 slugging, and numbers are bad for him to both sides of the plate. So the Indians do make for a nice stack. 40% hard hit rate given up to righties. I like Luplow a lot at 3,900. So those are the 6 players that I like for this slate. Some other teams I think you can focus on. Just flip through here. I like all the Dodgers lefties in particular. Muncy, Peterson. Now that he's first base eligible, that's nice. Makes it a lot easier to stack. Muncy, Peterson, Seager, and Bellinger, my favorites. And Verdugo, if he's in the lineup, not a bad play either. I think the Red Sox will be very popular on this slate. And I don't mind going with them, but I think, you fading them in GPPs especially is definitely viable, because Trent Thorne is no slouch. He's one of the better starting pitchers on the Blue Jays. But if I was going to choose some, I think Benintendi at 4,300 is nice and cheap, as is Mookie Betts and JD. So those 3 are my favorites, but I'm not going to be very high on them, as probably not going to have any Red Sox in my lineup. The Indians, a guy like Luplow I like. Greg Allen, I like him. And like Lindor and Ramirez. Here, I think the Reds are very cheap. They make for nice lineup fillers. Like Jesse Winker, if he's in the lineup, I know he left the game today, but if he's in the lineup batting leadoff at 3,300 in a Wrigley win game against Kyle Hendricks, that's definitely interesting. I like him. Derek Dietrich's only 34, and Jeanette's just 31. He hasn't done much, and Votto's 34. So the Reds are dirt cheap today, and the Cubs are not really going to stack against Castillo, but the only guy that I like is Schwarber and Rizzo. And then here, not going to have that much interest in any bats in this game. Have some rain here in in St. Louis. Not going to be in my stacks. Here, the Rockies are obviously a top stack. Same thing, the Giants are also interesting. I'm never really going to be on a full stack of the Giants, but a couple of guys like Joe Panic if you need a cheap one. Longoria, if you want to go contrarian at third base. But not going to have a ton of interest in the Giants offense. And then the late night hammer with the Angels and Astros. Like this game, I think it can be a sneaky stack for both sides. On the Angels, are dealing with some injuries. If Trout's not going to be healthy, that's going to make the stack much less appealing. But I still like Justin Upton, 3,700. Simmons, 3,700. Fletcher, 3,700. They're nice and cheap. Pujols as well at 36. Facing a lefty, I like those four a lot. And Upton, Trout if he's in the lineup. And on the Astros, I like a couple of pieces. I think going with Gurriel, just so much power with him against righties. He's been on a hot streak, and all of his home runs except for one have come against right-handed pitching. He's just murdering the ball against righties. I like him. I like Altuve. He's really cheap. And Alvarez are my top 3 plays on the Astros. But that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and